Victoria City Expats Club is a non-profit social organisation and our speakers are volunteers. The club as such assumes no responsibility or liability for the professional reputation of or the quality of services provided by the speaker today.
Good day and Sweaty Cup and Duck and Cover. This is the name of the talk today by this wonderful tech guru, friend of mine, who's going to enlighten you. Dooley is going to enlighten you a little bit, in a few short minutes, about the dangers that could be facing in terms of your electronic life and what you can do about it. Because we live in pretty uncertain times, right?
Yeah, power grids are becoming more unstable, interruptions are more common. Weapons of EMP and nuclear weapons are a concern, but the electronic effects of these are now increasing.
So if you're at ground zero during a nuclear explosion, then your problems are over, right? But if only one nuclear device high up in the atmosphere could fry the electronics of a whole country quite easily.
That's true. You could have a small nuclear device go off in the atmosphere, causing what's called an EMP, electromagnetic pulse. You wouldn't be harmed by the blast itself, but it could fry a lot of electronics that we depend on in everyday life, from your phones, computers, to your ATM, to you name it. Anything electronic could be damaged.
Because I'm fairly on the paranoid side. He's helped make me more paranoid. So I have, for instance, passwords and stuff on a thumb drive, which is password protected, which I keep in my safe. But all that could be gone, including the safe, right?
Yeah, EMPs have the potential to damage a lot of the equipment. Not necessarily going to damage all of it, but you don't know. So there are ways to protect them, to prepare for not only EMP outages, but blackouts and brownout outages, and preventive methods can save yourself a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so you want to look at the talk and the Q&A about all that. But so to protect myself, should I print out my passwords? But then I feel vulnerable, somebody get at the printed out passwords.
I suggest you have a printed out copy of things. You don't have to put it all in one place. If you want to put it in two different places, only half the information's on both. Oh. Good idea. Keeping them in a safe may be electronic, so that may not work. So it's a good idea to have a manual key that opens your safe nearby in case, as well as a backup, everything from your key fob to your crypto wallet. Keep them in a secured location that's also protected from EMP blasts. May save you a hell of a lot of trouble.
And you really want to have a printout of your phone numbers, because this friend was saying, I don't keep much on my phones, only phone numbers and stuff. And so, well, that could all be gone, right?
Phone numbers, how do you get to someplace with GPS? That might not be available. So it's really a very integrated society with everything we do. We can't protect against things outside our house, but there are many things you can do to protect against long-term blackouts, brownouts, and severe case of an EMP. They're not necessarily all large EMPs. They may be very small and isolated to certain areas, but these are more increasing common problems and risks we have today. So protect yourself and be prepared.
So one of the reasons probably they don't use massive EMPs in Ukraine and Russia, because they probably risk frying their own electronic equipment, right?
Yeah,
I know there's targeted ones, but I like setting up a nuclear bomb in the atmosphere. It might fry all the Russian forces' equipment, for instance, as well as whatever damage it did in Ukraine.
Without getting too specific on that particular conflict, EMPs have the potential to take out whole countries, even continents. That's not to anybody's advantage to do that, because you're talking about global economic damage. So I'm hoping everyone's wise enough not to do that. But the risk is there that it could happen incidentally, and a lot of systems are so integrated today that it only takes a small area of something to be damaged to have a worldwide repercussions.
So one of the things you can do to protect your electronics is what they call a Faraday bag, right? Which depends what country you're watching on this, but in some countries they're fairly easy to get.
The equipment you can make yourself at home. It's not that difficult, but sometimes the equipment itself is hard to get, or you may not be able to buy a prefabricated Faraday cage. There are some available on most places online, but they tend to be very backlogged and expensive. Protecting your phones and small devices are relatively easy to do, but keep in mind, if you're using your phone and an EMP goes off, your phone is not protected. It has to be in the property. So I tend to suggest you have a backup burner phone, backup key, backup electronics in a safe or something protected, so that if the worst does happen, you have a backup system to keep contact and keep things moving for your life.
And also solar chargers that can be used to charge your phone and laptop.
Yeah, if we had some kind of long-term blackout, you have to think about everything from your refrigerator, how to keep things from not going bad, which can be done just by not opening a lot for several days and keeping a lot of ice in the freezer, to your car. If you're unable to drive your car because you can't get gas or charge it, what do you do? So,
bicycle.
Bicycle, exactly. So again, preparing for this ahead of time is a very wise move, and it really doesn't cost that much to stock up a few necessities.
As Bud said something that no speaker's ever said to me before, which is, I hope all this information in this talk proves to be totally useless, right? That the bad things never happen. So, but we live in uncertain times, having cash on hand under the bed in case the ATMs aren't working could be a very useful thing. Printing out your passwords, Faraday bag, worth thinking about.
Solar panels. Solar panels.
Solar panels, yeah.
Now, you can get small solar panels?
Yes.
For your phone, for your computer, for a flashlight. These are very useful and not very costly. Most places have them for very cheap, and that could allow you to live more comfortably for 2 weeks or so. Other things like filling up your bathtub with water sounds like, why would I do that? But if you have no water to flow into your house, you can't flush your toilets. If your power is down for 5 days, what do you do? So these are small steps that I recommend you look into and prepare for long-term blackouts, brownouts, and EMPs.
Especially if you live in a cold country, you want to have lots of warm clothing too. And on that cheery note, hoping this information proves to be totally useless to you, this is Bud Dooley and Ren Alexander saying, Swaddy Carb, farewell, stay safe.